Hello, I'm delighted to bring you this conversation with Dr. Lena Subbotina. Dr. Lena is a medical doctor. She specialises in physical medicine and rehabilitation and scalar therapy with 30 years experience. Scalar therapy is a non-invasive therapy using a handheld device that works on different points in the body to harness the body's natural ability to heal. Scalar is something that's been in my life. I first met Dr. Lena over 20 years ago and her stepfather, neurologist Dr. Alexander Revenko, when I was injured with a neurological condition, a neurological injury from a car accident. And the scalar therapy just changed my life. The prognosis wasn't good when I went to them, and I got back my life. I got back to running, to everything, to working, pure joy. So they hold a very special place in my heart. And in this conversation, we have a chat about stress and its impact on the body and the natural healing process in the body that we can harness, and what we can do, the practical things that we can do to heal ourselves. And we also have a look at scalar therapy and what that does. Dr. Lena is totally passionate about healing, about bringing healing to people. And I just hope that you will enjoy and get a lot out of this conversation. You are so welcome, Lena. We are thrilled to
Just
have
for
you.
the record, we've known each other what? I always go with 20 years, but then you correct me.
Yeah,
Because Rose is 20 now. I think you've been in my life since Rose was born. So I always go with, I know Julie for 20 years.
Small little baby. And,
Oh.
I mean, scalar, and we'll talk about what you do, but I mean, that changed my life.
Oh, I remember this story like it was yesterday.
Yeah.
Started Essex, didn't we? Yeah, started at Essex.
We did.
All these years ago.
Yeah.
And then, so and then just like it's always overwhelmed me because can I tell you why you came with?
Yes.
It was a torticollis condition, which is a real pain in the butt because I had a couple of patients with torticollis, and then it's just sternocleidomastoid on one side. Whatever the chemicals are screwed up, it just keeps pulling you, and it's overwhelming because you can't sleep, you can't control it, and it's just it overtakes your life because that's all you can think about. It's just pulling. And then all of a sudden, Julie was just a very simple, it wasn't anything special.
Yeah.
You know, it's just you've been introduced to the device, and then I see Julie running marathons. Julie is all out of that torticollis condition. And then all of a sudden, Julie is opening her business, and then she expands, including Japan with your candles. And I was like, London, Dublin, Japan. What other countries did you expand to? And it's just, sometimes it's just life-changing for people because energy therapy, it changes your vibrations, let's say. It changes your energy.
So can you tell people that are listening in? So I came to you 20 years ago. I know you since then and totally love you. And I'm like, but you know, the energy medicine, can you talk to the people tuning into this? Because I have so wanted to do a podcast on scalar, the energy medicine for so long. Tell everybody what you do. I know you're trained as a medical doctor.
Correct.
And scalar. So over to you, my dear. Tell us about what it is.
So I'm so behind Scanner as my stepdad. Who's been in my life for 35 years, I'd say. So I've started 30 years ago, and it was always like a sidekick, sort of like a side hustle, you know, through the medical school and things. You know, we all want nice things. We all want a little bit of that, little bit of that. So it's something I rely on in life. I think everybody should have it because it's registered. Well, it has to be said. So it's registered as a pain relief device, and then
Okay.
by FDA, it's registered as a muscle re-education device because United States always wants to be different. You know, they all want to put something different in this. So so pain relief, but then it goes way beyond this because as we'll be talking, because you wanted me to talk about stress, so
Yes.
we will be talking about autonomic nervous system and autonomic nervous system regulation. It's just it can give you wonders. It can give you improvements on all sorts of level, including energy, sleep, digestive improvements, lymph. It cleans your lymph. It's everything. So if we go in with a muscle re-education, and that's registered as a grade 2 medical device, by the way, in the United States.
So to kind of go back a bit, so people know nothing about the scanner and energy medicine. And when we talked the other day, I'm so passionate about, okay, we get stressed. We're on that cycle of stress, 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 busy, busy, busy life. We don't have to have an injury to come to scanner, but what can we do about it? What's the effect of that stress on our body? And looking at, we talked about the nervous system, we talked about the science behind breath work, all those things, and then adding scalar onto that. I'm throwing all of that out to you, Lena.
Let's start with a little bit like background on stress and sort of chemistry behind it.
Yeah.
So stress, it's our adrenal glands. I think this is a well-known information. So adrenal glands, it's something what increase your cortisol, your adrenaline, your noradrenaline, so your fight and flight response. So when you go, and it all happens on our hypothalamus, pituitary, adrenal axis. So it's all regulated, whether, so if you're going into some stressful situation, let's say I've got a week and I've got to get through this. So my system bumps up all my stress response hormones, right? So my
Mm-hmm.
cortisol, my adrenaline. So I'm ready to fight and flight. I'm in fight and flight mode. So, but that's a negative feedback. So when it's all over, my adrenals should give the signal back to my brains. That's
Okay.
it. You know what? You're home. You can relax now.
Yeah.
So that's negative feedback. It's something what gets screwed up. So
Okay.
once you home, you in your own little bubble and things, your system is still going, fight or flight, fight
Yeah.
or flight, fight or
Yeah.
flight. So eventually it will wear your system out because it doesn't happen. You don't get into illness or disadaptation straight away. So you still got some reserves. So you kick back and you kick back and you kick back. And at some point, it all becomes overwhelming to your system. I always give example. It's just, let's say that, I've got a list of things to do and I've
Mm-hmm.
written it down for today and it's front and back and it's 4 pages.
Mm-hmm.
And I get up in the morning, I go like, okay, let's do it. So and I go through my list. So at some point I'm gonna go like, you know what, I've had enough. I cannot do this anymore. Just like I don't even care anymore. So I think that's what's happening when we become unwell. So
Okay.
the body goes, okay, I've got it. So it's bounce off one problem, another problem, and it's doing it for you till it becomes overwhelming. And once it becomes overwhelming, the body goes like, you know what? What problem? I don't have any problem. So it just like shuts it in a drawer. So it just ignores it,
Yeah.
and then and it becomes chronic. And the body, so at majority of cases, it doesn't even realize there is a problem there because it started ignoring it. It's coped with mechanism around it, like a little compensation, and it's not doing this. So scanner also brings that to body's attention. So I wanted to say also cortisol hormone, which is very sort of fashionable right now, and everybody is aware
Yes.
about this. So the
Yes.
interesting, I found information that cortisol and melatonin, they like a scale related units.
Okay.
So
Yeah.
during the day, you cortisol because life is stressful, has to be said. Life is different nowadays. So you act on cortisol because there is no more office work from 9 to 5 when it's enough money to pay your bills and your mortgage, everything. No, you've got to jump through loops nowadays. If if you want to live rather than exist. You see, if you want to keep your lifestyle, if you want to enjoy, if you want to go out, if you want to buy nice things and things, so you've got to, your kickback is way, way greater nowadays. So your cortisol level during the day, and then once the night comes, it should switch to exact same level of melatonin. So
But
you're
it's
ready for your, so you're ready for your parasympathetic system to take over, because once we have sympathetic nervous system and parasympathetic nervous system. So sympathetic nervous system, it's your fight and flight mode. That's what
yes,
we're on right now, all right? So we're up and about, we're excited, we're doing things, we're working. So I'm in fight and flight mode. I'm in my sympathetic mode. And sympathetic mode, it's everything up. My brain activity is up, my heart rate are up, my breath rates are up. So it's all up because I'm awake, I'm up and about. So once I go and I put my head on the pillow, that lever should go into parasympathetic mode. That's it. Everything is slows down. My brain activity slows down. My waves of my brain slowing down. My heart going into relaxed mode. My breath rates are slower. So my system is ready to rest and digest. That's another name for parasympathetic nervous system. And that's it doesn't sound like much, but actually if you lie down and you're still in sympathetic mode, this is it. So you have
yeah,
insomnia, then because you're tired during the day, so your system goes into parasympathetic mode, which is rest and digest. So you drag through your day, you're tired, you're low energy, and then so eventually the system gets tired, and then it gets tired and it requires different forms of compensations from different systems just to keep you going. Then
hmm
that's when the illness is happening, because you can
okay,
no longer compensate this, you see. So and that's just so your autonomic nervous system or your sympathetic and parasympathetic nervous system, it's all your little nerves what go into your system organs and everything. So and that's them, they connect to your spinal cord, to your and then obviously to the brain. So they are like a feedback to your brain, what's going on. So these are your little chemicals what pass on the information, and they pass it through autonomic nervous system back to your spinal column, because that's your
okay,
so you to your spine, and then spine goes and it gives feedback to the brain, and then brain starts telling what needs to be done. So we need this feedback, and that's the system. It's invisible like hormones. Remember, they are invisible.
mm,
Boy, do people suffer when the hormones are going out of place. But when it's going into chronic pain, I don't know what's wrong with you. Oh, you have insomnia. Oh, your hormones and things. And then with hormones also, because it's again negative feedback loop, it's too much
mm,
here, so it's got to be less here. So and then it's a communication like an orchestra kind of stuff. So it's also that taking one hormone, it's not necessarily gonna give you that panacea, or you're not gonna get well straight away, because it's all going through that negative loop feedback. And then so by blocking one hormone or your thyroid, let's say, so I'm taking the levothyroxine, so you blocked it here. So the other organs, the other endocrine glands, they're gonna go, oh my gosh. So they start restructuring, they work according to you shut the factory here. So these are really, really tricky kind of things for
so
the
it's a chain
Western
reaction.
medicine.
So this is where so somebody's going through all that, and I have friends that are going through not being able to sleep, the
Oh,
hormone, getting hormone replacement therapy and whatever else, in the menopause, all of the things you're talking about, and end up on so many drugs. And of course, the drugs are good, and we're not disputing any of that. But what that's where this gainer then comes in, this energy medicine.
and that's
So
like,
can you explain what that will do?
so your ability, your adaptation, your equilibrium, your homeostasis, it's to do with five systems which got to be, or five systems, so they've got to be friends. So it's your immune system, your big guard, your bouncer. So your immune system, your hormones, your central nervous system, your periphery nervous system, so your sympathetic, your parasympathetic system, and your emotions. These are the five, big five, what have got to be, they've got to be up to date in your system. So with like we talked a little bit about the chemicals,
Yes.
which pass on the information to the brain, because you need that feedback, because when you chronic, the body gets confused. It doesn't know what needs to be fixed anymore for whatever reason, whether it starts ignoring it or whether it simply just doesn't see the problem, because you just like, I'm going. So we're strong people, we made to survive. So
That's
and
it.
then
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
you get the little chemicals, little mediators,
Mm.
little peptides pass on the information. But in order to do this, they have got to have the impulse. So we are electrical. So the nervous system operates via electrical impulse. So in order to pass the information, because we have the little synapses in our nervous system, so two ends
Okay.
of the nerves, so they pass the information via little mediators and peptides, the little vesicles, and they go and they interact with receptors. But in order to push them out and start communicating, you have got to have electric impulse going through the system. And that's where the system gets completely screwed up. So it's just
Okay.
not conducting the impulse. So that's what scanner does. So it starts so membrane potential, also the term I wanted, or the voltage, like a bunch of people are
Okay.
saying this. So if you electron movements, we all know that in order to start any actions, your electrons got to jump from orbit to orbit. So they got to start plus and minus changes. You have got to start that reaction. This is it. So that's where your little device comes into place, because
Okay.
that behind all that little device, so this the way it operates, there is a software, there's a computer inside, and computer has got the norm frequency. So we operate with some pace. So it's a particular speed or pace. So the normal speed or pace in your body should be from 60 to 90 hertz.
Okay.
So we operate it normally. So when we start treatment with scanner, it's a feedback therapy. So when it creates electromagnetic field, when it's going and it reads the feedback from conductivity, from different resistances, from different physical characteristics, it comes back to the computer here. And what
Okay.
computer does, it compares you like pH. Everybody should be 5.5. Doesn't matter how old you are or where you're from. It's 5.5. Otherwise, your system's going either into acidic reaction or the alkalosis reaction. You're not right. You see, the body is not
Mm-hmm.
right. It has to be here. So once it compares you from 60, it's got that pH in the computer. So it's 60 to 90 hertz. That's it. That's where you should be. So it comes back and it goes like, let's say, depression or emotional issues. What do you think is going to happen to the frequency of their bodies?
Okay.
Oh,
It's going to go slow. Okay.
slow. It's
Slow.
1.5. It's 15
50.
hertz. So then
Okay.
that's feedback loop. When it comes back to the computer and computer goes, oh my gosh, you're
Yeah.
too low, but you need
Yeah.
to come up, come up,
Yeah.
come up. So the
Mm.
next impulse is going to regulate it, but it's going to stimulate your system. Come
Mm-hmm.
up, come up, come
Mm.
up.
Mm.
And it's the same case, let's say, when it's,
If it's
so
too
somebody
high.
is too much, absolutely. Pain. So somebody is pain. So system goes pain.
Yeah.
So they go up to 120, 180. They say onco patients, so the cancer patients, up to 2000 hertz. Ugh. So the system goes,
Okay.
it's always impossible. So when device comes into place and it reads that kind of stuff, it goes like, oh, you kidding me, right? Whew.
So
Calm
bring
down,
it down.
calm down, calm down, calm down. And it's not necessarily it's going to tune you into the normal frequency or the normal voltage straight away. However, it's going to give you that vector
Mm-hmm.
towards the healing. That's why this device is unique, because you
Okay.
don't have it into, because this is still a category of TENS device. TENS stands from transcutaneous neuroenergy stimulation device.
Okay.
So that means it works with your skin.
Yes.
However,
Okay.
the difference here, this is a microcurrent with a very high amplitude, which mimics the nervous system signal. So it
Okay.
works on the nervous system level. So it's high amplitude and it's feedback. So the impulse is always different
Okay.
because we are very fussy beings. So you can't excite me with the same thing 5 times, you see? So
Yes.
it's just like, oh, I'm good. Oh my gosh, this is amazing. But then I go, oh, okay, I've seen it. So we develop tolerance just like that.
Yes.
So,
Yes.
and
Yes.
that's what you against too with any sort of therapy, including drugs, right? So the body goes like
Yes.
poof, it's response. And that's why they say do not overuse. So they say, listen, when it's a life and death matter, antibiotics are great. They save
Yes.
your life. But then you start sensibilizing your body, a little bit here and a little bit here and everything, any ups and downs, you go, oh, I need some antibiotics and saying. So you tolerate your body. So what's gonna happen? It's not gonna respond anymore. This is tolerance. It's
Mhm.
just something you're up against all the time. So this device got feedback. So everything comes out different and it's just feedback and it regulates your impulse and things. So the body always goes like, oh my gosh, oh, something new, something new. So it's response to every session, no matter how many years you're going to be using scanner, it's always different. And we stand, so it's very low amplitude. So it's more of a local, so it's more like a local therapy, but also
Okay.
it always gives you the same signal, like a woodpecker, bang, 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 bang. So, and TENS devices, people say, they buy different TENS devices and then they are effective, but the
Mm.
but the common feedback is, listen, it's worked for me for like 3 months, 6 months.
Mm.
It doesn't work for me anymore, and
But
this
it
is due
doesn't
to that
heal. Yeah.
tolerance.
Yeah. I remember I had a TENS device before I came scanner for pain management, but it was okay, but it wasn't going to heal.
No, it's just that's a local kind of, local pain relief effect. So it works on the or muscular cells level. And
Hmm.
come to think of it, this is everywhere. These are your muscles. These are your blood vessels. These are your lymph vessels. So it's all
Okay.
like this. These are your intestines, smooth muscle cells. So this is all what needs to be, headaches, blood
Mm.
pressure,
Mm.
toxins, lymph. You need to pump that, that the vessels. And in order to do this, you have got to change the membrane potential. So you need to go plus and minus in your cells move, because if it doesn't happen, you know what your cell does? It's in a rest condition. So it's not
Okay.
working. So, and
Okay.
once you start moving the calcium, because there's three elements what change in your plus and minus in your body, so the cells start working. This is your calcium, this is your potassium, and this is your sodium. So
Mm-hmm.
these three, they change and there is a real term in science and medicine. So you change your microvoltage in on your cell membrane, because you have your resting membrane potential, which is a negative 75 milliwatts, I think, or
Okay.
millivolts.
Yeah.
And that's to do with calcium. So once the impulse is happening and the system start working, it start moving these three elements up and down. Potassium wants to come out, sodium wants to come in, calcium channels started
Hmm.
working. That's it. Plus and minus changing. So action is happening.
Yeah. And that's what my feeling coming to Skater was, that I was, there was a switch being switched on in the body. And that was the start of my recovery. Um, with all of this that we're talking about, if people are listening, what can somebody do right now if they're in that fight or flight mode all of the time, they can't sleep, they're just everything has gone to hell, they might be getting 2 hours sleep a night, their cortisol
Oh,
level is way up.
it's just
Is there practical things they can do?
probably gonna be super boring, talking
Go
about
on.
all these kind of things, because we know that like my mom says, the earth spins faster around the axis. So the pace of life is faster. And
Mhm.
it's just, so we have dopamine overload right now.
Yeah,
We're all on social media. They say the reels are, it's so much information in such a little time, but the brain, so the reward system of the brain gets messed up. So we
yeah,
want more, we want more. The little things are not enough anymore. So it's just dopamine overload. The system is always in overdrive. So it's just a reward
yeah,
system. So the simple pleasures are no longer enough. So we want something else to excite the system. And I think this is just when you take the pause button, and then
yeah.
we talked about with you with the breath work.
The breathwork
So
and the
when you
grounding.
and I was because you said like so
Yeah.
and I'm gonna call it the blowing out CO2, so carbon
Okay.
monoxide, yeah. So
Yeah. Okay.
and I looked at the science behind it, because I need the science, little science behind it in order to understand. So
Mm.
and they do say so by blowing. Like, remember when you're anxious and saying, they say, hey,
Yeah.
take a paper bag, and you go
Yeah.
and you blow in that CO2. So what you do is you put your system into metabolic alkalosis reaction, because you blow it, and then the system, respiratory, sorry, because you're blowing it out. So you
Okay.
change the pH in the system. So in order
Okay.
so you change the pH in the system, then your system's going into hypoxia. So it's not enough oxygen, because you
Hmm.
blowing it all out, and then respiratory alkalosis reaction because of the lungs. So you have your metabolic, which is a tissues reaction, then you have your lungs. And this
Hmm.
system say again, negative feedback. It's always balance in the body. If it's something not enough or too much here, everybody goes like, okay, let's get into action. So they going to balance your body. So your respiratory alkalosis, which is the alkaline reaction in your body. So the breath works. So it's gonna cause acidosis in your tissues. So tissues, no acidosis is no oxygen, right? So it's acidic
Right.
reaction in the body. So the tissues goes into some acidic response. So they go
Okay.
into acidic response. They start releasing more oxygen in the system. They start releasing the kidneys and skeletal muscles and liver, I think, make it. So it's called erythropoietin. Again, little chemical in our body, which causes oxygen production, hemoglobin production. So your body loads on more oxygen, and hemoglobin loads more oxygen. So by doing this, you boost up the oxygen in your body to
Okay.
decrease inflammation, to decrease oxidative reaction, because there's
Okay.
then so your breath work, your grounding.
So, are there things, when you talk about, say, going back to the grounding, that you could just go in your bare feet out in the grass or the clay? I'm thinking of my vegetable garden out here. Uh,
Which is, I think, for me, it's always like at some point I feel like I need to plant something, to dig in the
yes.
dirt, because they say it's just a touch. Once you
Yeah.
get in touch and you create electromagnetic field with the earth, that's it. Plus and minus starts going, electrons, protons, ions, so it's all started to flow. So you're barefooted, and then
Yeah.
obviously that, the
Yeah.
dig stuff. So that's your grounding too.
Yeah, yeah, because I know that sometimes I feel really amazing. I've gone out to the vegetable garden for, plant all my plants, and it's like, oh wow, this feels really good. And then you get to eat them eventually.
That's it, yeah. So your natural stimulants, the one what I consider is your natural stimulants, which is your things to look at, the
Hmm.
flowers, the things, so to stimulate that kind of field,
Yeah,
or smells. Oh, the
yeah,
smells, that make you feel good. So that's your natural senses come. So that's your reward system gets rewarded finally, not by watching reels, but by
yes,
natural things. Or
yeah,
food. Food considers one of these essential things what are contributing to the reward system. And for some reason, my rose said the music is not.
okay.
Yeah,
Ooh,
no, which is
ooh,
probably because this is man-made again. I don't know. I think classical music
classical
feels good.
music.
And I also liked it because that all the circadian rhythm. also, remember that?
Yes.
So like sleep in a dark room, remember, because you want the body to show this is the daytime, this is nighttime. I like that somebody said about watching sunsets, because
Okay.
boom, your brain knows
Yeah.
we go
Yeah.
into we go into rest and digest
Yeah.
mode. Listen, this is just like it's slowly unwinding your system into that relaxation mode, into the sleep mode, into recovery mode, because that's when they recover. And scanner also, because of the high amplitude impulse and because it works on the nervous system level, and it moves little chemicals, mediators, peptides, and it's plus and minus, so it actually makes impulse go through the nerves.
So what I'm getting from you is, and I wanted to ask you more about what where people can contact you for the scanner stuff, is that there's something we can do when our nervous system is all over the place and we're in that sympathetic state of fight or flight. What we talked about there, out in your garden, planting a veg, walking in nature, smells, the cooking, the real cooking, fresh food,
Reading.
reading.
Let's bring reading. People can't read anymore. You
Yeah,
see,
yeah,
so it's too
yeah,
digital. Everything is too
yeah,
digital. Remember, you open the post on Instagram and it's like text like this three
yeah,
things. It's just like, are you kidding me?
yeah,
Nobody's got time for that
yeah,
anymore. It's just like, give the pictures, give the flashes of information,
yeah,
boom, boom, reels. And then
yeah,
it was interesting because they say, the attention span. So the goldfish, they say, goldfish, you can keep the attention of a goldfish for 8 seconds or 9 seconds.
wow.
They say we are now 8 seconds.
A
So
goldfish.
you can only get my attention for less amount of time than a goldfish.
That's not good. So we want to change from being goldfish to back to,
To our sophisticated beings, because we are the highest hierarchy.
yeah, yeah,
We
yeah,
communicate. We
yeah,
have a second signal system. And second signal system, it's just like when I come to you and I say, my head hurts. I give you feedback, you see? Because
yeah.
that also any complaints or anything what you feel it's not right in your body. This is your protective. This is your evolutional mechanism.
That is a great way to finish up, Lena, is that it's exciting listening to you and knowing my experience and the journey I've been on for is that the excitement that we can rewire our system. I think by
Absolutely.
doing all the things you've
Absolutely. You
talked
can do
about,
anything. You can
we
do
can.
anything.
Yeah. So for people listening in,
Everything is possible.
that's so exciting. Switch off the phone, go to your wool shop, make soaps,
Make
walk
soaps,
in nature,
make whatever makes you happy,
yeah,
whatever you're into.
meditate,
Meditate.
yeah,
Go for a walk,
all those things.
Take
Yeah,
that. Take yourself out of that.
that is a really good note to finish. And what I want to ask you is just to tell people tuning in, if anybody wants to follow up with you on Skener particularly, can you let us know? How can they
I
contact you?
have I need a website because it's just like because the social media spoiled us, and things. So I have a group on Facebook. It's called NER, Alexander Revenko Group, which is
Okay.
our inventor. So I show different innovations. Like look at that grounding mat, So all you do,
Yes.
you plug yourself in, you lie down on it, and you rewire
Yeah.
yourself like this, yeah. So we have special like ground shoes, so you discharge the energy in this. So I just show different innovations. I show different like techniques for the ones already with the devices. And then I have Instagram page, which is the revenkoscenar training.
I think gratitude is huge. I remember
Oh,
my journey to with Skater. I the gratitude was just every step of the
you have
journey.
got to
I was
appreciate the
so
changes, for
grateful,
goodness sake. You
And when
can
I
be like,
went,
oh, well.
yeah, I went from working with you, the Skater, to crossing the line in the London Marathon. And the first thing I did was got a photograph, sent it to your stepfather, Sasha,
That's right.
and I was so grateful to my body, to everything, So I think that
Don't
gratitude is
don't forget the
massive.
gratitude,
No,
Do not, because this is like, so you not praise your body. So why does it need to do things for you? You see, so no, gratitude, because actually deep down, look into yourself and say, isn't life amazing?
Thank you so much. I'm going to stop.
Oh, always a pleasure, Julie. I can talk to you forever.
I could talk for hours about this, and I just think it's so amazing. It's changed my life. And now I'm so aware that we are energy, that we are electrical. So I'm so aware of stopping and pausing, never mind the actual device itself. I'm just much more aware of who I am and connecting in to all of the things that you said. So I know people listening to this are going to get a huge amount out of it. I'm really excited. And
that's, we aim to please.
Well, there was a lot in that conversation with Dr. Lena. But what I've taken away from it is that there's a lot that we can do to help ourselves and to help our bodies heal. And like Dr. Lena says, the simple things: go for a walk in nature, meditate, take up a new craft, try a bit of breath work or yoga to relax. Anything that's going to help move us into that relaxation mode, the rest and digest, activate our parasympathetic nervous system. So, also more time away from our devices. We all need our devices. There's good things about them. But something I'm practicing is taking time away from my device, really deciding in the evening after a certain hour, the device is put away. Those kind of things I know for me make a huge difference. So perhaps from this conversation, from this episode, you might try one of the things that Dr. Lena suggests and give me some feedback. Let me know how you get on. If you want to follow up with Dr. Lena about the scanner, you will find her on the Instagram, revenkoscenar training 2019. And you can also email her or email revenkoscenar@gmail.com. And Revenko is spelled REVENKOSCENAR, revenkoscenar@gmail.com. So thank you for tuning into this episode, and I'd really love to get your feedback.